Hello guys, so we started on page 101 in the Your Turn Practice workbook with a little vocabulary review. Okay, there are words, page 101. Number 1 says, what were the mice doing when they were looking on the ground for food? Scrounging, they were digging around looking for food. The children were scrounging the beach for seashells. So the children were digging around in the beach looking for shells. Which word could you use to describe a mess? Remember we said a mixed up confusion is a jumble? There is a jumble of books on the floor of my room. I wonder how many of you have a jumble of something on the floor in your room. All right, number 3 says, what do you call a person you know? Remember we said an acquaintance is someone you know, but that is not a friend. She has been my acquaintance ever since we met last year. Okay, so somebody you know, but not your friend. Number 4 says, how was the judge acting when she told the politician he had broken the law? Scornfully. Scornfully is to speak in a way that shows you dislike or disapprove of something. She scornfully told him that he had lied. Okay, and of course, we would not like someone lying, so that explains why she spoke to him scornfully. All right, you can pause the video here if you want and write 1 to 4 in your book. All right, all right. And then we can restart now. Number 5. What is another word for carefully? Carefully means the same thing as cautiously. To move in a careful way, I walk cautiously when crossing the busy street. Okay, because we have to look for cars. How would you describe someone you can rely on? Someone that is trustworthy is someone you can rely on. When you rely on someone, you know that you can count on them to do what you expect them to do. And if you count on someone, that means that you trust them. So someone who is worthy of trust is trustworthy. He is trustworthy because he is always there when I need him. That means she's able to count on him. Which word would describe someone who is very sensible? Someone who makes sense is logical. Remember how we talk about writing in a way that's logical in order that makes sense? Logical means to make sense. It is logical to carry an umbrella in the rain. Don't want to get wet. What is another word for making whole? To make something whole, to make something complete, things that belong together are complementary. Okay, the puzzle pieces that fit together are complementary. Okay, they go together, they belong together. Okay, you can pause here and write 5 to 8. Next, we will move on to page 106. There is a very short story at the top. We will read it and then we will discuss, okay? A perfect room. What do you think of the room we made for you? The gooey creatures asked their new robot friend. Most of the rooms here are made out of ooze and slime, but we thought you might like something different. The robot looked around. The floor was made of bright, gleaming metal. The furniture had perfectly straight edges. The closet's contents were all clearly labeled. I love it, she beeped. See our gooey creatures and the robot? All right, let's take a look. First question, what is the genre of this text? The genre of our text is fantasy, just like the story that we read this week. The cricket in Times Square, where the animals and insects talk to each other. This story is also a fantasy. How does the illustration help you identify the genre as fantasy? Our illustration shows that the characters do not look like real people or animals. Okay? Maybe this is the way we feel sometimes when we wake up in the morning and we haven't had enough sleep and we feel gooey and all over the place, but this is not what we actually look like. So they do not look like real people or real animals. Describe one of the characters in the text. You can describe the robot in your answer here. What does it look like to you? You can describe the wheels on the bottom. You can describe the light in the front. You can describe that the gooey creatures look like slime or ooze. Okay. And to answer the second part, could it exist in real life? Neither of these could exist in real life as they are portrayed in the story. Describe the setting. The setting is a room made of metal with furniture and closets. So, yes, this could actually exist. We could have a room that's made of metal with furniture and closets. So, yes, the setting could exist in real life. And we got the description of our setting right here as they describe the room in the second paragraph. Okay? All right. You can pause here to write the answers for page 106. Okay, now we're going to take a look at the details and point of view chart that's on page 100 and second, let me make sure the page 102 in your turn practice workbook. Okay, now I'm going to ask you to remember the part of the story where Chester is explaining to Tucker how he got trapped in the basket, okay? And he tells him that they put the bag of sandwiches on top of him, and Chester explains to Tucker that when he smelled the food, he followed the smell of the food, and Tucker told him this is very logical. It's exactly what I would have done. Okay, so here we have exactly what I would have done. One of the details where Tucker agrees with what Chester has done. Tucker also tells him sympathetically when he tells him that he ate more than just a taste of the food. He ate so much that he fell asleep inside the basket. Tucker says to him, sympathetically means that we put ourselves in someone else's position and we feel the same way that they feel. So he felt sorry for Tucker that, yes, of course, who could blame him? He wanted to eat the food and he ate so much that he fell asleep inside the basket. And he wrote, who could blame you? Like anyone else would have done the same thing. And he also tells Tucker tells Chester, imagine trapped under roast beef sandwiches. So, exactly what I would have done. Who could blame you? And trapped under the roast beef sandwiches. Tucker is letting Chester know that he understands completely what happened to him and why it happened to him and why Chester made the choices that he did. So, the point of view of the author is telling us that Tucker is a sympathetic person. Tucker is the type of character, he's not a person, sorry, he's a mouse. Tucker is the type of character that can put himself in someone else's shoes and understand their situation, and he understands their point of view and why they did what they did. And these three details show us that he understands why Chester the Cricket made the choice to follow the smell of the food, to eat so much from the basket that he fell asleep. And he talks about how it must have felt to have been trapped under the roast beef sandwiches. So Tucker is sympathetic. Sympathetic, feeling sorry and putting yourself in someone else's shoes, understanding how they feel. Okay, we'll do another set of details and point of view. You can choose to write one or the other, or you can choose to draw a line right down the middle of your chart like we've done before in class, and you can write one on each side. Okay, we will not test on this. This is just for your knowledge to help you understand point of view. All right, the next set of details that I want you to remember is that when Chester and Tucker were talking and they saw a shadowy figure, and Chester buried his head inside the Kleenex because he saw when the cat jumped up next to them, Chester was afraid, and so he put his head inside the tissue box. That's what Kleenex are, tissues. And he made signs to warn Tucker about the cat. Remember, he was pointing to make Tucker look above his head to see that Harry the cat was standing over him. And he did these things because he didn't want to see Tucker get hurt. He was afraid that the cat was going to eat the mouse, like he had seen happen so many times where he was from. Okay? So the point of view is that Chester doesn't, he puts his head in the Kleenex because he doesn't want to see the mouse get hurt. He makes signs to warn Tucker so he can get away from the cat, and he says he doesn't want to see him get hurt. All because Chester is caring. Chester is a nice mouse who cares about his. I'm sorry, Chester is a nice cricket who cares about his new friend, Tucker the mouse. So the point of view, the fact that he hides in the Kleenex, the fact that he doesn't want to see him get hurt, the fact that he tries to warn him that the cat is above him, all show us that the point of view is that Chester is a caring cricket. Okay? All right, so that's two examples of point of view. Point of view takes a while to learn how to pull it out by yourself, how to understand. We will continue to do more and more examples to make it easier for you. Okay? You will have point of view again in another story throughout the year, and we will continue to practice these things. Okay? All right. Have a wonderful vacation. There will not be a quiz when we come back. We will be moving to the new reading program, and we will have training for you on the new program and how to use it. So let's look forward to some new and exciting things in the new year. Happy vacation. Bye bye.